Hi, this is Susan Fleming, and the question today we're going to talk about is how much does it cost to gut and remodel a house? Well, I've done a few of those, so I'll just share with you what my experience has been. So it depends what it costs to gut and remodel a house. So it depends on how much are you gutting. Are you gutting the entire thing clear down to the studs and then remodeling from the ground up? Now, I would only advise that if the house is just needs everything. If you walk in and you can tell it needs new plumbing, new wiring, new heating and air, if it doesn't even have central heat and air, you've got to be able to run the duct work. And so having the walls open will make it easier. And so, it's kind of like you can spend the money on gutting the house, but then it'll be cheaper when you have to go to run the wiring and the new plumbing and the new HVAC ductwork because the walls will be open. And so it's much easier to get to that. And so your labor costs are going to be a little bit less because you've got the walls open. But on the other hand, if the wiring is decent or if you've got plaster walls, I gutted and remodeled a house that had plaster walls. I tend to be attracted to these 1920s homes that have plaster walls. And one of my favorite remodels, and there are videos on YouTube under Vintage Home Makeovers on Newman Street if you want to check them out. But I completely gutted that house. And the reason I did is because I wanted to change the floor plan too. So if you're going to change the floor plan, then it's a good idea to gut it, because once the walls are all opened up and you can see through them, then you can get an idea of what the floor plan could be, that you can rearrange the rooms. So the house that I gutted and remodeled, the 2-story, it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, and I turned it into a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath house. So all because I just used the space a little bit more efficiently. Took out some walls on the first floor, opened up the kitchen, added a half bath down there, and then upstairs reworked the layout of those 2 big bedrooms and made still 2 good sized bedrooms, walk-in closets, a master bath, a hall bath, and a 3rd bedroom. So I was very proud of that. One of my favorite flips. But the cost was pretty expensive. So it probably cost me $10,000 to redo the walls once I'd opened them all up. And looking back, because it was plaster, plaster weighs more than sheetrock, and you've got lath strips. I don't know if you've ever seen these old houses. What they do is they have strips that look like mini shiplap on the wall, and then the plasterer comes in and puts the plaster on the wall, and it oozes into the lath strips, and that's what holds the plaster to the wall. So, and there's not a lot of plasterers available these days, so it's difficult to just repair the plaster walls. But if you can find somebody who can do the plaster work, I would not totally gut a plaster walled house again. I would probably cut channels to run the electrical and the plumbing, and then just patch those channels. I think that might have been a little bit cheaper. But you live and learn. And if anyone's looking at flipping, just keep in mind that that's your flipping university. When you do a project, that's how you learn. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes, but you learn that way. I looked at that. I've got a master's degree in business. It cost me a lot to get that, but so I looked at the money that I have spent on flipping or maybe lost on some projects. I look at that as my university, and that's okay. That's how you learn. So, but now back to how much does it cost to gut and remodel a house? So the typical house that I would flip was probably anywhere from 1,000 to 1,800 square feet. So when I would assess the house, if it was going to be a gut and remodel, I would usually guesstimate about $50,000, more or less. And these days, with building prices going up, it's probably going to be $60,000 to $70,000. So keep that in mind. And so just based on that, I would just make an offer based on that. I didn't really. Some flippers want to go into great detail on everything before they go in, and when you're starting out, it's a good idea to do that. But you get to the point where you kind of know basically what the heating and air is going to cost, what the plumbing is going to cost, what the electrical is going to cost, and usually you can just go in with a big figure. If it costs less, then you make more money. If it costs more, well, you try to budget in at 20% higher, so that if there is a little overrun, which often happens, because once you open up walls, you're going to find things that you couldn't have seen, you couldn't have predicted any other way but just opening up the wall. So don't let that make you afraid either. Let's see. What I would suggest, if you're looking at getting into flipping, if you're looking at remodeling your house, I would stick to the cosmetic remodels at this point, because they are cheaper if you can go in and not do a total gut remodel, because those are intense, they're hard, they're dirty. You got to work with a lot of crews. I mean, the demo is fun. I love the demo part too, just like Chip Gaines, but it takes longer, and it's harder to turn it over quick unless you're an experienced flipper. So the cosmetic ones, you can go in and the house maybe has good bones. The kitchen maybe solid wood cabinets that you can just paint, put a new countertop on them, put new handles on the cabinet doors, put in some new appliances, some new flooring that might look like tile, or the vinyl plank flooring that's popular now. Put that in, and you could have your cosmetic flip done in maybe 30 days to 2 months and have it back out on the market. So if you're wanting to get into flipping, I would save the gut job until a little later on, unless you got a high tolerance for facing challenges. They're challenging, but they can be fun. Anyhow, I love talking about flips. So if you've got any questions, if you got any more, any questions that you'd like me to talk about in future videos, feel free to drop them in the chat box. Follow me, and like my page, and let's go talk some more real estate. See you next time.